Okay, so I know it's been a while. Just a little bit of a life update. I'm very, very close to starting hormones. I'm kind of just waiting to finish all the sperm collection so that way I have the possibility to have children later on in life if that's something that I decide I want to do. I'm very excited. It's taking a lot of self control to not. Yeah, actually, the bottle's right here. Hold on. It's taking a lot of self control not to swallow one of these right now. But logical side of my brain has won this time, so we'll hold off on that. Anyways, excited to get into episode 2. Let's get after it. All right, welcome again to Mindful Misfit, a podcast where I get stuff off my chest so I can make room for the implants. I'm Shane. I currently use they, them pronouns, and in today's episode, I want to go over my reasons for seeking out hormone therapy as a means of gender affirmation and what I hope to get out of it. So, if you don't know already, I'm currently meeting with medical professionals to do the testing and planning required to start HRT. And for those of you that are new to this subject, hormone replacement therapy in the context of transitioning is a medical procedure used to induce desired physical and psychological changes in an individual in order to help them look and feel more aligned with their subconscious gender. So generally, it's a gradual process that takes a couple of years where you'll develop the secondary sex characteristics that are generally associated with puberty. So for trans men, this involves replacing the estrogen heavy body with testosterone. And for trans women, this involves replacing the testosterone heavy body with estrogen, leading to things like, for men, muscle growth, facial hair. For trans women, this involves breast tissue growth, softer skin, and much more. I myself am far more familiar with the process for trans women, so I'm going to focus on that. And while hormone replacement therapy is by no means necessary to transition, many find that it allows them to be more frequently perceived how they would like to be by others in society. And it may help to increase alignment between one's physical and subconscious gender. Coined by Julia Serrano in a book written in the early 2000s, subconscious gender, which is a term I will be using throughout this, is a deep-seated, intrinsic sense of one's own gender identity that feels as if it is innate and resistant to external influence or changing social norms. And she theorizes that gender is not influenced by outside pressures, but rather it's deeply embedded in the brain's neural architecture, which I also believe. Since gender, like many other things, are often perceived by strangers through only a handful of visual cues, hormones can assist tremendously in being perceived how we would like to be. So for that reason, hormones can be especially helpful. This can be counterintuitive for people who identify with their gender assigned at birth. And to help you understand, just think for a moment how you would like others to see you. An example my therapist gave me is to imagine that you're sitting on a park bench and a stranger walks by. How would you like to be perceived by them? Our answers will likely vary significantly. Every day we decide what outfit we'd like to wear, how we'd like to style our hair, what body language we use, the tone of voice or language we speak in, and the energy we give off. If you're sitting on a park bench wearing a button down and slacks with the intention to impress, and somebody came along and told you you looked like a bum, you would probably be pretty upset. And while this is a silly example, it helps to demonstrate what being misgendered can feel like. Being misgendered can feel like a much more intense version of this. When someone is misgendered, it can make them feel embarrassed or angry. It can contribute to low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, feelings of isolation, and like stated before, we can fairly easily alter the way that we dress, talk, or act while changing the characteristics of our body or the assumptions that people make when they see us can be much more difficult. And for this reason specifically, many seek hormone therapy as a means of assisting their transition, like I plan to do. For women, common physical effects of HRT can include breast development, softer skin, body fat redistribution, reduced body and facial hair, reduced or slowed male pattern baldness, and genital changes. And this includes shrinkage and potential infertility, reduced strength, and decreased libido. Emotional and psychological effects can include altered emotional awareness and sensitivity, reduction in gender dysphoria, and changes in sexual arousal and satisfaction. And while many are satisfied with the effects of HRT and choose not to go any further, others go on to pursue surgical procedures including breast augmentation, facial feminization surgery, genital reconstruction surgery, tracheal shaving, and or body contouring. Other common non-surgical feminization may include wearing makeup or feminine clothing, voice therapy, hair removal, fitness and nutrition, and personal grooming. And I'd like to emphasize that a trans folk may pursue any, all, or none of these procedures or therapies. Everyone should always feel empowered to be, look, and act however the fuck they want if that makes them happy. It's a human right to feel comfortable in your body, safe in your environment, and loved by others. So don't be the bigot that takes that away from someone. Moving on, what do I hope to get from HRT? As I said earlier, I currently identify as non-binary, and while I believe and hope that I may someday find comfortability in being a woman, I haven't quite yet. It's a constant journey. Keeping this in mind, my main goal at the moment is to simply appear less masculine. I have accomplished this recently by expanding my wardrobe to occasionally include dresses, skirts, tank tops, etc. For the most part, I value being comfortable over looking pretty, so you can usually find me in comfy shorts and a t-shirt. I do love piercings, specifically on my ears, although I did try to get a belly button piercing the other day, and they told me I didn't have enough skin for it, but I'm convinced that they are just afraid that I'll become too powerful if I do get one. I occasionally wear makeup or stuff my brows with implants, and a lot of the time I shave my legs, body hair, and face. I also want my hair to be much longer than it is right now because it's just way more fun and you can style it all sorts of ways and play with it, although it is pretty long right now and I'm happy with it. Through HRT specifically, I hope to grow some boobs of my own, reduce the thickness of my body and face hair, and increase the thickness of my hips and ass, although those are more likely tied to exercise and dieting than anything else. And I do hope to preserve the hair on my head as long as possible because basically every dude in my family is fucking bald, and I cannot stand the idea of that. And while I don't have super intense genital dysphoria, I wouldn't really mind some shrinking down there because then I would be able to wear feminine clothing more comfortably. Things like bikinis and tight clothing are very difficult to wear, but I don't know. Recently I've been embracing the bulge, but I definitely look forward to that effect. Psychologically, I hope to just feel more womanly. I understand that there's plenty of work that I need to do outside of medication to assist this, but many trans folks agree that the introduction of hormones can assist tremendously. For me recently, even kind of the decision that I want to take them has kind of been transformative in my acceptance of myself, which is something that I didn't expect, and in the future I expect it to constantly be evolving. I also hope to improve my sex life by embracing a less masculine role in and outside of the bedroom, and this will hopefully include less like orgasm-centric sex and rather a focus on the journey, ensuring others' comfort, and a dramatic reduction of expectations from the practice. And this will also likely include experimentation with more playful and dynamic settings, roles, techniques for achieving pleasure. Outside of the bedroom, I hope to embrace and nurture my more feminine side. I'd love to have more meaningful platonic relationships with women and be more perceived as one. I'd also like to make strides to reduce my own internal hypersexualization of women and ultimately help to break down deep-rooted societal misogyny and kind of these masculine ideals that were ingrained in me because I was raised a man. And every day I'm kind of discovering how these affect me in the background through conversations with people and a lot of internal work. I believe if I'm able to unapologetically embrace my trans identity, I will be able to expose many less informed people in a non-argumentative manner to a digestible conversation about this topic. And through this, I hope to ultimately increase awareness and acceptance of trans folks in my community and empower others to be their true selves. So, there's a sneak peek into the tsunami of thoughts, experiences, and expectations I have going into the next chapter. I'm aware that I skipped over a lot of important concepts, viewpoints, definitions, etc. And every time I write a script, I come up with 1,000 more topics that I want to dive into, but I try my best to focus on one main theme per episode, but many more to come. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, please leave them in the comments. I may address them in a future video. If you found yourself resonating with what I had to say, please share the love with someone who might too. But seriously, thank you so much for putting in the time and energy necessary to tackle these very difficult but meaningful topics. It's so validating to have even 5 people that tune into what I have to say, hopefully every week, but it's seeming like every few weeks is going to be more realistic with my schedule. Peace and love. See you next time.